Hi, this is Beth Overhound with Central Kentucky Television. I'm here in Lebanon, Kentucky, and behind me is a celebration of life going on in remembrance of Mother Frances Ann Crowdis, who recently passed here in Kentucky. She is formerly from Raleigh, Kentucky, and the Marion County area as well. And what's notable about this celebration of life is that Mother Frances was 109 years old. And this summer she would have been 110, and we've had parties and celebrations since she hit 100. And this is the final celebration in memory of Mother Frances. I'm here now with family members of Mother Frances Crowder, and you are?
Mary Knight, her daughter.
And I'm her niece, Ruth Fogel. I asked her once about snacks back in the old days. And I said, Aunt Frances, what did you guys snack on? You know, because we have such a problem with health now and everybody overeating. And she said, well, we didn't really have snacks back in those days because it were hard times. This was during the Depression and, you know, right after slave days and all of this. So they didn't have snacks. It was great to have a meal. So she said every now and then they might have a piece of cheese or maybe an apple or something picked.
And for the last, I don't know how many years, you've been caring for Mother Frances.
25.
25? Did she develop a taste for any particular snack during that time?
No, she just ate a little bit of everything.
She didn't have a favorite?
Blackberry pie. Vanilla ice cream.
And do you make that blackberry pie?
No,
Get somebody else to do it.
I'm sorry. Kroger.
She is always trying to get me to make banana pudding.
Okay, well, there's a lot of good food at the celebration here today. Family and friends all chipped in and brought, you name it, and it's here.
Yes, it is.
Desserts and celebrating this life. And it's not unlike some of the parties we've had up until now. How many birthday parties can you recall for Mother Frances just since the last 25 years?
The 100th and 105. Mm-hmm.
Certain ones we've had the 100th, the 105. Even last year we had
109. Was 109, yes, and we were planning in 110.
But really, we could still do that if you wanted to. It's a good time for a family reunion.
Well, we have some time if we'd like to plan something. You know, Mary's probably going on vacation. You know, but it's just beautiful that we're here, and you're almost part of the family.
I've attended several of the celebrations and gotten to meet many of your family members. Now, how many children did Mother Frances have? How many children? She had 3.
She's tired.
I left myself out.
Oh, you left yourself out. Don't do that.
And she was the baby girl and quite a hoot.
Right.
She and I grew up together, you know. She's a little bit older than I am, but Aunt Frances and Uncle Hubert, I just had to throw that in. They always were farmers, and that was something that was in her blood, in her DNA, because her mother and father, the Furmans, and their name was Joseph and Catherine, they were sharecroppers. They were sharecroppers.
In Raleigh.
Around Simstown. That's a little place near here in Marion County. I don't know if it's very fluent right now. Have you been back lately, Mary Lois?
It's out in the Poplar Corner area.
And that's where there was actually an elementary school, the Poplar Corner Elementary School, and that's where Aunt Frances attended grade school.
Smalley.
And Mr. Smalley that just left. We sorry, you missed Mr. Smalley. He's going to be 100 tomorrow. Okay.
Oh, well, longevity does go in the family then, doesn't it? I'm not going to ask either one of you how old you are. Because we're all kind of the same age, and we can be having these parties for another 50 years.
Same age, I'm sorry. No.
I'm 16 too.
Okay. But no, it's quite, we have lost a piece of history. And I'm not just saying a piece of a family history that we have represented here today. No, we have lost American history. Because a woman who was a child of sharecroppers, and she worked the land, and not only working the land and with her hands, but with her heart. And I think this might be the reason her spiritual life was so deep. Because Aunt Frances was a person she believed in God, and she knew that he would make a way somehow. Okay, she knew he would be there, because there were so many times that I know that she laid and she cried and wondered if the crops were going to yield, her children ill, her husband ill. But during the time we had the Great Depression, she told me how that during that time they can everything. And she told me when she said can spare ribs, I said, what? And
Really?
sausage.
Have you ever canned sausage? Did
No.
you learn how?
No.
Can you can sausage?
I've never tried.
See, it's a lost art, isn't it? It's a lost art.
So I guess you mean you want us the next year, this time we're going to be on TV with canned sausage. Is that what you'd like?
Except I'm a vegetarian now, so, you know,
Well,
for the
we
most
feel a
part.
vegetarian pig, you know. But no, but she lived through the depressions, I think about 18 or 19 presidents, and we were so proud. Mary Lois, what was her reaction when President Barack Obama was?
I don't know. She was just thrilled because Kay took her down to vote in a wheelchair.
No
You
kidding.
won't even have to walk. I'll wheel you down. So she did.
She did not want to do the absentee ballot this time.
Nuh-uh.
5 years ago, so she was 104 when 104 when President Barack first time. So this was history. She could have told him a few things. And she shared all of that wisdom with us. Actually, I should have brought it in, but actually I have one of her quilt tops in my car. About how many, Mary Lois, do you think she made over the years?
Quilt tops.
I have no idea.
Was it something she would give to nieces, nephews, family members, and that sort of thing? Was it?
She's given them quilts, quilt tops. She also crocheted doilies too.
And nobody can do that much anymore.
Oh, no, I never did figure out those things. They would starch them and they would have them standing up so high. And maybe you can do a history. We can bring some doilies from somewhere and get enough starch, to make them. But they did those things with their hands, and they did them for love, because before selling them or them becoming something that would make money, that was what they had to cover their families with.
Sure.
So you had to make those quilts, and the food was just, to feed your family. And she was an awesome cook, and she could fry some fish. And let me tell you about this real quick. See, her and my mother loved to fish together, and the pastor of their church, Sister Viola Nifley, which is history as well. Mary and I would go fishing with them sometime. Oh, yes, I'm going to tell it. So they would take us, and we were about, I guess 9 and 5 or something like this. So one wonderful sunny one morning, Mary and I went, and we were sitting on the bank, and all of a sudden we had this pig going around, and she was sitting on the bank and I was sitting over here doing something, and all of a sudden you heard the pig go. So everybody jumped around and they said, what happened? She said, I slapped him. She slapped the pig
Slapped a
to
pig.
get away from, because he was wanting the food.
And the pig cried.
We had our lunch, so he smelt it, so he came up to get it,
Was going fishing.
and I slapped him.
But see, those were the type of good times we had back in the day. People would have thought, oh, you're country kids and you don't do anything, but we had such a good wholesome time. We'd eat tomatoes out of the garden where we were supposed to stay out of there with the canning, and we'd eat them with the sausage until we saw the whips would break out on our arm. Yeah. We'd eat that many tomatoes, yes.
Well, let me ask you this. All the people that are here today in celebration, we've discussed a little bit that they represent every kind of family relationship you can think of. How far has the family gone? What's the furthest away someone traveled to attend the celebration today?
Tucson, Arizona.
From Tucson, Arizona. Are there other locations that are pretty far too?
Cincinnati.
Indiana, wasn't it Indiana, Mary Lois? Indianapolis, Cincinnati, of course, Louisville, Indianapolis, and, from the utmost parts of the earth,
Yes. So genetically, the Crowdis family is making its way across America.
Yes.
Because her grandson, he's in Arizona now. Her grandson is in Arizona, and so, yes, we've stretched out just as we were going up the country road to the burial plot, to the cemetery. It just really brought back home. It was like closing in around your ears, and you could just hear the old days of when we'd be going to church or coming up coming up the highway, and then Uncle Hubert and his horse and buggy, and that's one of the things that drew Aunt Frances to my uncle.
Was the horse and buggy that you had?
Yes. And when I did interview her, Milois, because I know a lot of times I was back in the room myself, and I asked her, I said, what about Uncle Hubert? She said, well, he owned property. He had his own horse and buggy. And then with the sweetest little smile and blush, she said, and he was handsome.
Well, isn't that nice? And did you learn, from the way your mother chose a man to look for somebody with a horse and buggy?
No,
Wouldn't have found him, would you?
have a Cadillac.
She's had many, yes.
Oh, sorry. We got enthusiastic.
Lincolns. Yeah, we've had Lincolns.
Well, listen, I really appreciate you inviting me here today.